What if the one thing keeping you stuck is the way you think? Welcome to Change Your Mind with Chris Ashley, the podcast where science meets spirituality and mindset becomes your most powerful tool for transformation. I'm Chris Ashley, author of Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality, trainer, speaker, and lifelong seeker. For years, I battled trauma, depression, anger, chronic illness, low self-worth, and the weight of old stories. Until I discovered how to rewire my mind, reconnect with my divine nature, and consciously create a new reality from the inside out. This show is here to help you do the same. Each week, we explore the intersection of personal development, spirituality, and science, diving into topics like healing, emotional mastery, entrepreneurship, resilience, and the quantum nature of reality. You'll hear powerful stories, gain practical tools, and real conversations that will help you change your perspective, get unshakable confidence, and live the vision your soul has always known is possible. Whether you're navigating a major life shift, building your dream business, or seeking deep healing and alignment, you're in the right place. So if you're ready to break through, take back your power, and create a life on your terms, this is your moment. Let's break free from the patterns that hold us back, awaken to who we truly are, and rise. Your transformation starts now. Change Your Mind podcast, where we explore personal development, spirituality, and science. I'm your host, Chris Ashley, and I'm really excited for my guest today. We're going to talk about behavior and money. So I'm curious to see what he has to share with us. First, couple quick announcements. Head over to the links in the show notes. You're going to find a lot there. You'll find ways to connect with my amazing guest, ways to connect with myself, ways to sponsor the podcast. You'll find links to my book, Change Your Mind to Change Your Reality. It was endorsed by Marcy Shimoff, Michael Beckwith, Bob Doyle, all of whom were in the film The Secret. It was endorsed by John Gray, who wrote Metamors, Women Are from Venus, and many other authors in the personal development and spirituality realm. You'll find links for free downloads, courses, coaching, and let's see what else. Oh, this podcast is also part of the Los Angeles Tribune Podcast Network. Sounds weird that a newspaper has a podcast network, but we have a massive personal development branch that we built out. We have live events every month. I was just on stage with Sharon Lecter, who wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, co-wrote it, so you might know who she is. Talking about Hugh, my guest Hugh.
Yeah, I do.
Also, let's see who else was on there. Dean Graziosi, Joseph McClendon, Jim Quick, Ken Honda. So amazing headliners. We're doing a lot. Come connect with us. All right, so with me today, I have Hugh Massie. So Hugh is the executive chairman and founder of DNA Behavior International, the behavior and money insights company. Hugh's purpose is to empower people worldwide to optimize the alignment of their natural hardwired talents and financial behaviors to make quantum leaps for creating an exponential future with reduced stress, thereby enabling greater happiness, more success, and improved health for 30 or more years. That sounds pretty good. Welcome, Hugh.
Yeah, it's great to be with you, Chris. And it sounds like maybe I'll be able to add to this very rich, important area around manifesting a better life. Some of the people that you talked about that are gurus in the field. So let's see where we go.
Yeah, I'm excited. So I told you in the green room, I don't plan out anything. That was a little bit of a lie. I plan out the first question. And
right.
It's because I ask everyone the same question to get started. And that is, what is your origin story? So what made you decide to be on this amazing mission that I just read about?
Yeah, so my origin story is that, I think the first thing for everyone to understand is that I sort of call myself a reformed accountant, because although I'm in the human behavior field now, I started life as a CPA, and that was the first 10 years of my career. And I think what I discovered a little bit afterwards, after leaving my accounting career to set up a wealth management business, is, my initial goal was to help people hyper-personalize their experiences. And I had been doing that in a way naturally all my career, and looking at people and could see how they behaved and operated, and they needed to be communicated and served this way or risk addressed this way, whatever it was. I was doing it intuitively. And then when I set up my wealth management business, I wanted to be able to put a tailor-made suit on every person, except I was doing that intuitively, but I don't know that I fully knew what that meant. And then about 4 years or so into that business, a friend of mine asked me one day, Hugh, you don't seem that happy with the business that you've set up. What are you really passionate about? And came out of that was that I wanted to help people all over the world become financially self-empowered. And what I quickly realized was that wasn't teaching people about stocks and bonds. This was helping people learn about themselves, and in really getting, Chris, a clarity of their identity. And I thought, okay, if I'm going to do that, then I need to have a system to measure people, to bring this to the surface to work with. And one of my staff in my wealth management business in the office was doing a psychology degree with her economics at university. So I sort of said, as a research project, why don't you go and start looking at systems, methodologies, and come back to me and see how we might build something or do something in the area. And after she did that, I sort of got, she did a good job, but I got to the idea that there needed to be something new built. Chance meeting with a psychologist and from England, and she'd worked with a whole lot of systems, and said, Hugh, what you're really talking about is people have a natural hardwired behavior that's set from very early in life. This is formed from the point of conception to about when they're 3 years old, that who you are at the core is hardwired and baked in then. It's your instinctive behavior. And I thought, yep, that's why my clients under pressure are having a behavioral flip. We can be in a nice socialized setting right now. It's all friendly, but under pressure, people change. And money is one of those things that causes people to change, and relationship pressures and stress. And thought, okay, I need to be able to measure this, to put a tailor-made suit on every person, and build them portfolios, build them life plans, help them with their career, whatever it was, to help them do better in life and become self-empowered. And that's really my origin journey. And once I got that cemented, which is really now my purpose, is to, as you read out at the start, or said at the start, then I thought, this is going to be my life. And through a meditation process that I had started to do at home quietly, just to calm myself down, generally speaking, but I'd learned as well through it that that my dreams as a kid were real if you wanted to bring them to life. And I always wanted to have a global business. And I was, okay, I'm there in Sydney, Australia. Today I'm in Atlanta, Georgia in the US, but I'm sitting there in Sydney, Australia. Well, how do I have a global business? A wealth management business is not really going to be global. It could be. I did have sort of a plan for that, but it wasn't really going to work. Regulations, et cetera, So, but I thought, okay, this idea of human behavior and people's financial behavior and their talents, we can build a technology system, and that can be deployed all over the world, and I can have a business with global impact. And I thought, and you know what? If this is my purpose and passion, this is what I'm going to do. And
that's a really
I just
cool
went from there.
That's a really great story. And I like how you said by chance the person came. Like, there's no chance.
There is absolutely no chance. When I absolutely believe when you are aligned to your identity, which I see as very important, and that's comes from your purpose. When you're aligned to that, people show up at the right time. If you're working in your zone, people show up. And if you're open to it, right? Yeah, I could have, when I met Carol Pocklington, turned my head, who was the psychologist that came, I could have turned my head the other way and just said, okay, we're going to have a hiring discussion. But no, it turned into more than that. And I think it was the same for her, because she worked with me for 23 years till she retired last year, right? and sort of saw me on this journey because I needed a lot of help. And other people showed up at the right time. I think my team that are there now with me are all part of that. Doorways opened up in the United States. And I knew that I needed to be there to do this. But, that also took 40 trips in 4 years. But, so there is no accidents to this, Chris. It's just a matter of, are you open and prepared to take, what I call make the leap, or this is the way quantum leaps happen, I think. And
yeah, totally. So what is the system? Tell me about the system that you created.
So the system is well, today it's called DNA behavior. When we started, it was called financial DNA because what we were doing was really measuring people's financial DNA in terms of their financial behaviors. And now we also measure talents because I believe if you can use your talents properly, capitalize on those, that's the greatest source of wealth creation. Your financial behavior is more around the types of decisions you're going to make. So we've built what would be called in technical terms a psychometrically built system where people complete a questionnaire to discover a whole range of behavioral factors about themselves. There's 4,000 of them. It takes 10 minutes to do. We can also now do this digitally, so people don't have to participate directly. It can be done for them. But we've built it all, using university-based science methods. And then, let's say that you're coaching and consulting with someone, you wanted to know what their financial behaviors are and their talents. You could have them, along with yourself, go to a link on our website and complete the exercise, and then out pops a whole lot of reports, summary analysis that addresses lots of dimensions of their life. And there are more steps than that if you want to take it, but that's the core of it. And we have people deploying it in, well, I was told today by my team, more than 125 countries now, and multi-language, etc. But they're all doing the same thing, really, for the same reasons.
So what are some of the outcomes? Like, do you put people, I'm thinking of like personality quizzes or something, like do you put people into certain categories?
We do some of that because it's a way for people to relate to it.
Yeah.
But some of what we're doing also is we're measuring what's the extent to which you are more orientated to being a spender or saver. So probably the most important financial factor, for at least for individuals, is around spending and saving. If you spend all your money, you're going to have no capital and nothing for tomorrow. If you save it all, okay, you can accumulate more capital, but then you might have a miserable life because you haven't gone and done anything, right? So we measure that kind of thing. Your goal orientation, risk taking, clearly. How you approach making decisions, what sort of biases are going to show up. Do you follow what other people do? Do you play your own game? Are you going to be more loss averse versus trading accounts? That type of stuff we get into it fairly deeply. How emotional will you get making high pressure decisions financially?
It's really interesting. I want to go take it myself. So what about the hardwired talents? How does that come into play with the quiz?
So so think of it that if you complete the same quiz, one dimension of it is the financial behavior. On the other side, the other dimension that comes out is the hardwired talent. So we're looking at, as far as the sales process is concerned, are you orientated towards sales? Again, how goal-driven are you in the workplace? Are you more of what I call a workplace operator that gets tasks done, or are you a relationship builder in the workplace? Are you creative and an innovator in the business, or more going to be anchored around existing processes and ways of thinking? So they're the types of things that we're getting at. How systematic will you be versus being an intuitive decision maker? And we do that for individuals, but we also look at that in the context of teams. And then we've got 6 metrics we look at specifically. If those behaviors are stronger, then this team is going to create more financial value than another team in its sector.
So what does someone do with this? Like, let's say that someone's listening and they're like, I just want to go take this and see what I score. What if they're like, oh, the hardwired talents isn't really what I enjoy, or like I'm not as good of a saver, I'm not as good as like whatever on here. Like, can someone just look at that and be like, I want to change, and then change? Or like, what's the next step?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of next steps. Is like, if we firstly deal with the talents, is I'd look at this and say, okay, let's say your talents are towards being more of a relationship type person, needing to be with people. You're not as buttoned up as far as details is concerned, not as systematic. Being in a very backroom task orientated job doesn't fit. So looking at, what are you doing in your life and career, and how does that line up with your talents? And in a way, what kind of stress are you feeling? Are you feeling like you're moving forward, or you're hitting a wall? Because generally speaking, after about 3 months, you're going to get stressed if you're doing work that is not in alignment to you. If you're not in that right setting, it's not going to work. If you're in a role that requires you to be a very competitive salesperson, got to handle rejection, go and work a new territory, get it going, and you are just more of a teddy bear that's used to farming existing client relationships, you're not going to be able to do it. And so I think the first thing is what you're alluding to, is to own up to what are your strengths and what are your struggles. What areas can you use your strengths in that? And then look at your passions and zero in on that, and what can you do with that? And then obviously, there's a financial dimension. You may not be able to change your job tomorrow, but you at least you're now working towards a new goal, a new path for your life. And that's really what we're getting people to do. Now, for others, they might be doing exactly the right thing for them. They're in exactly the right role, but they've just got to perform better. They've got to look at the strengths and saying, okay, I've got to focus on these strengths, but if I overuse them, that's when the struggles show up. So let's say that, to make that relatable, if you're in a role that requires a lot of communication and conversation, social presence, you're an influencer. But there will be days when you talk too much or you say things you shouldn't say. And that causes damage, if not psychological damage, to other people in the workplace. It can ruin client relationships. Loose lips sink ships. And that you can never get back. But that could be a struggle for that kind of person. Yes, they're very charismatic. But if they don't learn to manage their communication, they're going to cause a train wreck following them, right? As opposed to, you could be a more reserved, introverted, finance director, accountant type person, task focused. But if you don't learn to step across the aisle and actually talk to people about what's going on, you're not going to be valued for your work. So you've got to learn a little bit to step out of your zone and how to manage your desire not to talk to anybody and work behind a closed door. You've got to open up a bit, right? So that's a couple of examples, Chris, of how to, that you've got to work. So first thing is getting in your life in alignment with who you are at the core, because that's going to create the flow. And then is managing yourself on that journey, when to dial it up a little bit, when to dial it down. It's like I'm looking at I'm helping a politician at the moment in another country, and he wants to be the leader of his country. And I can see he is a great strategist, but all his messaging is extremely cold. It's about the numbers and we're going to have fiscal conservatism and we're going to do A, B, C, D, and that'll unify the country. Country isn't going to get unified if you're not warming up as a person, right? And you can look at maybe, well, I'm not going to get political here in America, but you can get the idea of what I'm talking about, right?
This is really okay. Can I just, on a personal note, we were just talking about how there's no coincidences. Literally after this call, the next thing on my to-do list today is I'm also a trainer with the LA Tribune, and I need to send them over a list of my strengths, my weaknesses, what I want to be working on, and what I don't want to be working on. And I'm like, this morning I was like, okay, I have to like really go through this and think about it because it's going to be like my future with them. And now I have this great quiz to take to help me out. It's pretty cool.
Well, you know what? If you like, I could do it digitally for you.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
So I'll look you up under. Do I look you up under the LA Tribune, or do I use the podcast address that you gave me?
You mean my email?
Yeah, you gave me. Yeah, so I know you. I think I've got your email.
You've got my email.
Yeah, and that's got the domain name where you would be seen in LinkedIn, because I don't think I connected with you in LinkedIn.
Do you need my LinkedIn to do it?
Yeah, that helps. Just so I've got the.
I don't know how updated my LinkedIn is, but
well, I don't want to profile the wrong Chris Ashley.
Okay. All right. But isn't it like it's a link on your website that I can go like just
There's
answer the question? Right?
There's two ways. You can go and complete the exercise, and I could send you a link to do that straight after this. And I can also go in and do it digitally, which will give you a less accurate, but it will give you a framework.
Interesting.
Digital review of you, right? So we know by what your career is now, what you've done in the past, to think the types of things that you do, right?
Okay.
The fact you're a podcast host, but you've done other stuff. We assimilate all of that, and then it goes into our metrics, and we can create a digital scan of you. So that's one way that we started to.
That's cool.
Accelerate the growth of the business. But I'll give you a link afterwards, and you just go and spend the 10 or 12 minutes completing it, and you'll get some insights straight away.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, thank you. So, okay. So one question I have about all this, and I think you kind of alluded to it a moment ago before I started talking about myself. I guess like I can start off with like, are you a believer in like, you do the thing you're good at and you get really good at it, and that's how you don't rock the boat, you flow? Or like, what about like learning new skills? What about like if someone's a great I don't know, behind the scenes person, but they want to like get better at being more public facing, like how does that like go into all of this?
I think the first thing is that if you get really specific about it, there's something that every person can do in the world, doesn't matter who you are, how intellectual you are or not, or your physical being, that I believe you can be the best in the world at. And that was part of my process. What can I do where I win the gold medal, right? And in what, and then it's defining the field, the area. And so for me, it is around financial behavior. I think that my gift is very rare in the sense that I understand human behavior, psychometrics, behavioral economics, but I've got an accounting and business brain. I can understand accounts, the flow of money. I'm able to predict what happens to companies ahead of time. And I've been doing this, and, I'm sort of built a system now with what we have to know when things are going to go up or down in a company through the people. So that's a rare gift. But if you get onto the point you just made about, I am a very reserved, introverted person. So if I want to build more connection and speak up, being on podcasts, of which I do, 3 to 5 a week, is a great venue because I like these conversations. This is better for me. Even though I can stand up on stage and do a keynote presentation, whether it's to 50 people or 1,000 people, and I don't get scared, I can do a good job. That's not the best. That's actually not the best use of Hugh. and not the best format for me. It's like I was thinking about the politician guy that I was referring to before. My suggestion to him is, why don't you just do more podcasts and warm it up that way, and try and not get as tactical and as aggressive in certain things, and just be human, right? So we've all got modifications we can make that are easier for us to do than maybe, for me to be on stage doing a floor show 5 times a week would be draining, and it's not the best use of my talent to push DNA behavior along, or for Hugh, or the use of his energy. But there's plenty of other ways for me to communicate my message. And I think, but when you're clear, and it's about your ego too, when you're clear about your identity and who you want to be in the world, how you want to be seen at that elevated level, then these decisions get far easier. So it's more than just the purpose. It's actually your identity and how you want to be seen in the world and convey your message and be accountable. Once you've got that right, which the behavioral piece that we've talked about is a starting point, because it does start with talents. Look at your passions, put those two together. That's where your 10 out of 10 is going to show up. It's not just doing a test. There's some work, it's discovering the passions and doing some work on that and fine-tuning it, and communicating that in terms of your identity. And that's really where, for me, being, a behavioral architect, right, is, the behavioral solutions architect is the key thing. I'm really good at packaging a product that uses human behavior, but it's got a financial piece locked into it.
I like that response, because it's like, you can still go out there and get your message out. It's just, which avenue do you want to take that's going to be more aligned? So it's not like you can't try new things or step outside of your comfort zone, but there's different ways to go about it.
So let's say you're my coach. Yeah, let's say you're my coach, Chris, and you said to Hugh, well, you want to build your business and globalize it. Go and build a network. Well, how I build a network, which is more through strategic influences, key relationships, distribution channels, whatnot, is different to how a person that's more extroverted might go and do it. Yeah. But in a way, who's better at it? I used to think I wasn't good at it, but then I've got a pretty good network of the right people. And so I think that, and it could be better, and I could do more, but we all could, right? But the thing is how do you do that around your talents? That's the key thing.
Yeah, and you're just making me think too, like, if you're authentic, like, the right people are going to resonate with you, right?
Whether at the right time. And I think this is where we're sort of...
Say that again? What about the right time?
At the right people are going to resonate with you at the right time. Because there's been times where I've had a meeting with somebody and they've suggested an idea, and there's one clear case of this that I can think of. And this guy was a good relationship or friend of DNA behavior, said, Hugh, I want you to think about this. And he explained it over lunch, and I absolutely did not get it. And I think I wasn't ready to hear it. And about 18 months later, somebody else was talking about that concept. And I thought, oh, gee, that's what Bill was talking about. And then I went and talked to Bill about it. And that's progressed through a whole, area of growth. And I think it's just a matter of there's the right day on your journey. It's like humans can hit. I've been working on my purpose, but not every day or through all cycles do the doors just open up. There's a right time for things to flow, and that sometimes is a centering of your own belief in yourself, having the ideas packaged up. It's a matter of when you're ready.
You know what else you're making me think of is, so I started and then later sold a yoga company, and towards the end of it, I kept trying to make events happen. because I'm a speaker. I love speaking.
I guess that.
Yeah. I also have two TV shows besides
Yep.
this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. One's launching soon, the other is launched. So I really wanted events to happen, and my background is in marketing. Like, I was head of marketing for two different companies, and I'm like, I know how to market, I know how to speak, I have a community, I have all these yogis, and it would not frickin' work.
Yeah.
And it was like just hitting this wall. And it makes me think that, like, now events flow really well now that I've sold that company, and I think it's because that's not what I was meant to be doing, right? Like, I wasn't on the path.
I think that's true. That probably there's something deeper down in the energy fields of the world, in your subconscious, that it just wasn't right.
Yeah, and that's always bugged me. But hearing you a moment ago when you're like, yeah, it has to be at the right time, it's like, oh, wow. Yeah.
But that's not to say that at another time, it could be the right thing, or that as part of your TV shows that you do, and you're interested in people's spirit, their health and whatnot, that you still don't talk about yoga as a component to achieving all of those objectives. So while you're not putting on a yoga event, you're still talking about it. And so you're leveraging what you know about it and how good it is to further, strengthen the shows that you do. You could put the yoga segments in there, whatever. So in a way, it's just the way in which it was going to roll out.
Yeah. I really like that perspective. So, part of your purpose that I read out loud, and I just have it over here, which is why I'm looking off screen. The reduced stress we've talked about, because you're more in the flow, but then thereby enabling greater happiness, more success, and improved health for 30 or more years. Talk to me about that line, because I really like that line.
So one of the things I've got really interested in is your biometrics, and a lot of people around me are interested in that. Everyone on my team, we're all wearing. I've got a Garmin watch on. I've got a Whoop band as well. It's not on at the moment, but because I'm in the middle of transitioning just to one device. But everyone on my team and around in my world have got devices on. And I think one of the things that we've seen is, and I'm very big on saying, is that if you are more stressed, you won't be as happy. You'll struggle with success, and it's going to impact your health. The one thing that accelerates your aging is stress. And so if you want to live longer, you've got to reduce stress. Now, a little bit of adrenaline pumping, or having a couple of months where you've got to work harder, thinking time, the pressure's on you to deliver something, like you're producing a new TV show. That isn't going to cause a problem. We're talking about sustained long-term stress, lack of sleep, eating badly, drinking more alcohol than you should be, etc. And money is wrapped up in all of that, and we can come back to that.
But, oh my God, we haven't even talked about money. Gosh.
But stress. Well, money is the biggest cause of stress and anxiety. There's lots of proof of that. So if you can deal with stress, then you're going to improve your health chances, and that will show up later in life. But, it might come, for some, it comes earlier. And so in a sense, stress kills. But if you want to lengthen your life, so I'm on a path I've sort of notionally called it the 120 Club. Mm-hmm. What do I need to do to live to 120?
You and Dave Asprey.
Yeah, it's along those realms, and there's another guy I collaborate with, Peter Diamandis from Abundance 360. He's very big on talking about this, and Dave Asprey's in that community of people. But there's a lot of other people, as well. But Peter Attia, I listen to all his stuff. His book Outlive, that's great. It's all down the same track, but I think the one thing they don't talk enough about, actually, is stress. And that's the key thing. And money causes stress, and that's why I want people to not only be aligned to their talent, but also be making decisions that are right for their life. And money plays a role in that. And, you know, I wrote a white paper 3 years ago about money energy, and the energy of money, you know, money is a currency. Money is what you think money is, and money carries an energy that's with you 24/7. It's in your brain the whole time. Well, it may as well be in your brain the right way and with the right perspective.
So what's the right way and the right perspective?
Well, I would say that from having an abundance perspective, it's aligned to your identity and your purpose, and you have good thoughts about money. Some people think, well, money is an evil thing or a bad thing. Well, he's got a lot of money, or she has, so they did something wrong. You know, it's having positive thoughts about money. It's how can you use money to impact people's lives positively? How can you impact your relationships positively? And I think it gets back to, you use the word authentic, but what's your authentic purpose in life? If money, your relationship with money is aligned to a positively driven, authentic purpose, you'll be set in that area. But if you are just, money is the measurement of your life success, problem. That's one of the biggest causes of mental stress and mental health for entrepreneurs, business people, families is, well, gee, that person next door's got more than I have, or their business is earning more than mine, so I mustn't be as good, right?
I'm sorry I keep cutting you off, but I realize I know you have like a hard stop in 7 minutes, and I have like so much I want to know from you, because you're just like this gold mine of information, and I'm excited, and might have to have you back on the show so we can go into more. But so, okay, I like what you said about if you're following your purpose, like that's when money really comes. So like, what do you have to say to people who are following their path and their passion and their purpose, and they're new at it, and like the money hasn't come yet? Like maybe they've taken a leap of faith and like left the corporate world to follow their dream, you know, like, and they're stressed because the money isn't there yet. Like what's your advice for those people?
Well, I think that the first thing is just go back to your own story of trying to build a business in yoga, or, you know, yoga events. Sometimes when you take that leap of faith, you don't get the model right. You actually, while you think you're clear about your purpose, there's something not there yet, and there's a refinement's got to go on. Like when I left the corporate world, I had I think probably actually quite a quick start in terms of growth financially and business wise, but then when I decided to do DNA behavior, there were in some ways some step backs, but I was slowly building. And so I think some people think, okay, I've got my idea and I've got my dream, and they go out there to try and be too big too quick with it, and they lose patience. You know, things, just because you got the idea and maybe a couple of contacts doesn't mean it's all going to work at once. And I think that, you know, I'd say to most people, yes, dream big, and bigger than you can even dream in a lot of ways, but start small and finish big. And you know, that might be 20 years, but stay true to that. Be prepared to adapt. You know, those things are all important for your success, but believe in what your underlying purpose is. Like I've always believed in helping people be financially self-empowered, but I've had to make a lot of pivots along the way. And don't give up. But also, what are you prepared to sacrifice? You know, if you think, well, I can leave the corporate world and I can live exactly the same way or better than I did before, maybe you won't materially for a little while, but you've got your freedom. So I think it's about the right mindset to all of this is going to be something that's really important. Not judging yourself compared to somebody else's success, because you don't know what's gone on behind that, and when that might go further, fall apart, a relationship falls apart, health falls apart.
Yeah.
You don't know. You just worry about your own game.
If you're listening, rewind that and listen again, because that was like a mic drop moment, and wow, that was so good. You know, I know we only have a couple minutes, and I do want to give you a chance to like promote where people can work with you at the end. So I'll just ask, is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you like really want to get out there to people, like any message or anything you want to talk about?
No, I think Chris just summarized that. I think out of all of this, finding your identity and getting clarity of that is really important. Live authentically to that. And you know, that you know, the life journey is not a straight line, and the bank account doesn't grow in a straight line basis either. And just accept the ups and downs and enjoy the journey, enjoy the process, like you've done. You know, you've been in varying businesses, marketing, the yoga, now you're running TV shows, but you're putting all the pieces together. And somewhere as you do that, something extraordinary is going to happen. And I think all of us need to believe in that. But if you try to go at it too big, too fast, and blow yourself up and don't enjoy the process, that's misery, right? And then if you get all those things right, the money part will follow. It doesn't mean you don't make good decisions along the way, but I think look at it in terms of your identity. What's the human impact I'm going to have? Like for you could say, like I've done, I've said, I want to impact 1 billion people's lives. Okay, what does it mean to do that? And then that meant a fundamental change in how we were doing things in the business, but we'd actually designed that process 5 years before, just hadn't figured out how to roll it out, but we did. And we hit the targets much quicker than I ever thought we would. And I think that's going to be you. You could say, I want to impact 1 billion people in 10 years with your work. And if you come up with the right way to measure it, it'll happen. And I'm sure it'll have a positive financial impact for you. Right? And I think that's how, you know, I encourage people to think about this.
Well, you're making me emotional. I have goosebumps. Thank you.
You're going to impact 1 billion people. That's why, because I got that sense, right? You're pretty driven. You know how to promote, you know, in a good way, and why not go and do it?
Well, thank you very much. It has been such a pleasure to talk to you. I feel like, I mean, I'm going to go and re-listen to this conversation after, and I don't do that often. Just don't tell anyone else. Just because I feel like I needed to hear a lot of the things. So thank you. And I'm sure everyone's dying to know, of course, where to connect with you, but where do they find the link to this questionnaire?
Yeah, so if you go to dnabehavior.com/start, that's where you can get going on the journey. And as I said to you, Chris, I'll send you a link from my email before I go to my charity event.
Well, I know you have a charity event to get to, so
no, I'll get that. That's okay. That's a nanosecond to do that for you. But I think for everybody else, go and connect there. But also on our website at dnabehavior.com, there's lots of educational resources, blogs, podcasts, ebooks, books, whatnot, to learn about, you know, the way I think, I suppose, what we have. My LinkedIn account, the only Hugh Massie, Massie in Atlanta. There's plenty there.
Awesome. And you're an author too, right? You've written books.
Yeah.
I cut that. Hugh's whole bio is going to be in the show notes. I just didn't want to read it all because we were tight on time. But yeah, you're an author of several books too. So if you want to dive more into Hugh's mind, thank you so much. It has been such a pleasure. I want to respect your time. Thank you for everything. If you are listening and this resonated, like, comment, share, subscribe, send it to someone you think might find it useful. And I'll see you all later. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.